of where we are bombarded with information everywhere, then if you can master storytelling, then you can differentiate yourself from the rest of the competitors. Uh, you need to use a framework that allows you to use stories in your presentations, in your sales speech, and there are two types of stories. The framework that I use is called the Three Summit framework, Three Summit storytelling system, in which if you were to give you a brief overview, then these are the three summits, and each summit is an act. So I don't know, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So each is an act, and you can do two types of stories. One is a case study story, okay, and then if you don't have case studies, then you can do your personal stories. So, but use the same framework. And if you want to, each story has three parts, and it's mostly, the first part introduces the characters, the theme, and then there is a conflict, and then a loss or a setback. And if you were to, elaborate on this and just use Lion King as an example. In the Lion King, the theme of Lion King is, circle of life is the theme, and a new prince Simba is born to Mufasa and the queen. I don't remember her name, and he's introduced to the world. He's taken onto a cliff, and Rafiki introduces him to the world and says the new prince is born. But there is somebody who doesn't like this situation, and he has a big scar on his face, and most villains have deformities or scars or something. So Scarface doesn't like it because it has robbed him of the chance to become the next king after Mufasa dies, because now the new prince would be the next in line for the throne. And all stories need to have not only conflict, but you need to build up the characters. So you have Scarface, who has the scar and is the villain. You have Mufasa, the wise old king. You have Simba, the newborn baby, and and characters will be built along the line. Because and when Mufasa says to Simba, Simba, do not go to the elephant graveyard. You tell a child not to do something, what is it that they want to do? You tell them not to press the red button, that's what they want to do. So, and Scarface hears this conversation between the father and the son, and he uses it to divide and rule. He says to Simba, Simba, there is nothing, scary at the elephant graveyard. I live there. I've been there. I'll hold your hand and take you there myself. And oh, but Dad says not to go there. Mufasa says not to go there. Oh, don't worry. Your parents are cautious. They say all these things, but you don't have to follow everything that they say. So he takes him. When he ends up at the elephant graveyard, it's a trap. His hyena, the Scarface's hyena goons are there to kill Simba. And in the conflict, Simba gets injured and gets scared. But luckily, Mufasa makes an entry, saves the day. But while saving the day, he falls into a cliff. And this cliff, he's holding it with all his strength, but he can't lift himself. And then Mufasa comes as a savior, but we all know what villains do. Instead of saving, he hit him and made him fall, and Mufasa ends up dying because of the stampede in the valley. And who blames himself? So there is a loss and a setback. And Simba, the young Simba, immature Simba, blames himself for Mufasa's death and distances himself from the pride. He cannot show his face to the pride, and he finds a location with his Rafiki friend, the parrot, and whatnot. And he's having a good time until a catalyst appears into the scene, and it is his childhood girlfriend Nala, who now he has grown up, and both of them have grown up, and they have a romantic couple of days, and then Nala introduces the topic of Simba needs to come back because the pride is Scarface is starving the pride, and the whole animal kingdom is collapsing. And Simba says, no, I'm quite happy here. I'm comfortable here. I'm not the king. I don't want to be the king, blah, blah, blah. But, Nala being the lead hunter, she has to go back. Otherwise the pride will go hungry, and she goes back. But this forces an insight and forces, Simba to make the decision to go or not to go. He does make the decision, the hard decisions, to go back to the pride, and when he goes, he's ridiculed. They're making fun of him. Oh, here comes the true king. Mufasa, the Scarface and his hyena goons, thrash him. They beat him up. But in a small respite, he gets a memory of his father, the brave, wise king. Tells him some words of encouragement, some words of courage, and he gets up, and he also sees his mother and his family suffering, and this gives him the strength. In most stories, heroes are always zeros until 90% of the film. It is in the last 10% that they become heroes. And so he then gets the courage, defeats Scarface and his hyena goons, and becomes the rightful king, restores the circle of life, and the pride, and the jungle thrives again. So this was a simple, 3-act, where, in the first you are setting the characters, you're setting the conflict, you're setting the loss and setback. And the second one is the catalyst. Nala is the catalyst. Then he has the insight, and he has to make the difficult decision. You see, the last part, that he then resolves the conflict, and there is a win-win situation. But while you are telling for business purposes, okay, this is good for entertainment, it is good for the Bollywood, and the all great movies are based on this three summit framework. How can we use it to make $1 million? Is what you guys have enrolled today, and or that's what you do, people's homes and cooking, and especially into rich people's homes. So he came to me and said that, Harish, I am a very competent chef. I've been qualified, I've been trained in 5 stars and whatnot, and I had few jobs where I've gone to ambassadors' houses or events and whatnot, and I've cooked, and I can cook very good meals. And my target audience is wealthy people. I said, okay, wealthy people have wealthy people's problems, and wealthy people's problems is that they're not short of food. Their fridges are stocked with food. They can order anything from anywhere in the world. Um, but their biggest problem is that everybody is in their phone and in their rooms. The kitchen, the dining room, the living room is always empty in a rich person's home. Or there is only one person who is occupying that space. So I said, stop selling yourself as a, just a chef, but become a chef that brings families together. And he said, how do I do that? Harish, I'm a chef. I don't know how to bring families together. I said, that's okay. I'll teach you how to do that. I told him that you need to prepare the food that you're going to cook. So involve the family into the preparation of the food, where they help out in the chopping, the cleaning, the preparing of the ingredients that you are going to cook. And because it is not normally their duty to do that. They have a chef at home and they have everything, but you want them to do it. You don't want their chef to participate. You don't want any of the servants to participate. You say that you need to do this bit for me, so I can prepare the delicious meal for you. While they are doing it, because it is not their normal domain, they will all have to work together. And while working together, they become a family together. They come together. And because they have put sweat equity into this meal that you are going to prepare, they are going to enjoy it even more. So this is how we used, I helped him use the story framework to understand the problems of the rich people and then come up with a solution that helps him differentiate himself from the rest of the competition. And now he's winning more businesses as a result. So this was one case study of a client using the story framework to differentiate himself from the rest of his competition. And storytelling is a very old art. We've been telling stories for thousands of years, and there is a reason why it is a very popular format. If you look at traditional structures where the chief or the tribal leader is always the one who is the best storyteller. You see the older people who didn't have education but knew how to tell stories and engage people and teach people using stories. So storytelling in business is a useful tool. It's also a useful tool for anyone who is creating content. Your stories need to be engaging. This course is mostly designed for, or this masterclass is mostly designed for business owners and content creators who want to make money. If you're not interested in making money, then you can scroll off. But this is a course that is designed for business owners and content creators who want to make money. And also, if you are a content creator and a business owner, then click the subscribe and the bell icon so that it is a small action for you to do, but it has a big reward for us. So continuing on this theme of storytelling, we have I also have, there are three types of storytelling. One is I explained what you can use storytelling for your clients, but you can also use storytelling for yourself. So my story is that I've lived and worked in London for the last 35 years, and I'm now back in Africa. I want to create 1 million millionaires. I want to help businesses and content creators to become millionaires using this framework. And this is a larger than life goal, and it is deliberate. It is like Elon Musk's goal of making humanity multiplanetary, where it was because of this larger than life thought that he came up with the concept of reusable rockets. Rockets in the past have always been a one-time use machine, multi-million-dollar machines that were thrown away in the space or became space junk. But because He had this larger than life ambition, Elon Musk had, of making humanity multiplanetary. He needed a rocket that wasn't thrown away, that could be, that would take cargo up and bring it back and come back and then be refueled and launched again, like aeroplanes are. Just imagine if every aeroplane that you sat in was only used once and then thrown away. None of us could afford an airline ticket. Flying would be a very expensive endeavor. But similarly, what the aeroplanes are doing, he's now doing with space rockets. But that happened because he had a larger than life mission. Similarly, I also have a larger than life mission of helping, a million business owners and content creators to become millionaires. And you can do this easily using the three summit storytelling framework. In all stories, we have, I did an experiment this morning with my staff, and whenever I tell them to talk about a story, they always narrate the story. There is no dialogue, there is no conversation, and there is no villain. If you look at any James Bond movie, all the villains are deformed. They're either crippled, they have a hand broken or a leg broken, they are on a wheelchair and whatnot. So, you have to, even in your stories, you need to have villains that have some deformity. Villains, generally in life, it is not the case, but for storytelling purposes, and it's a visual platform that we are talking about, in The Lion King, Scarface had a scar, a literal scar on his face, and that's why he was called Scarface. So villains also, and they need to be an element of conflict. And the hero only becomes a hero by meeting a catalyst, a guide. Many of the business owners that I am dealing with are in dire need of a guide. Like the chef that we explained, that he was suffering from low sales, no calls, no leads, and now that he's now calling himself not only a chef who cooks at home, but a chef that brings families together, he's winning more businesses. Similarly, there was another client case that we worked with, and he's a clearing and forwarding agent. He used to call himself Jaroge. He says, my name is Jaroge, I am a CEO of this company, I am located in this location, blah, blah, blah. I said, Jaroge, stop it. Tell me what you do, who for, and why are you different. Just 3 things. And the guy had to scratch his head. He did come up with something that I helped him, formulate a story around it. And then he said that, okay, Harish, I can help clear businessmen's containers in 2 days compared to 20 days. I said, that's something that it's a solution that people are looking for. Let's turn that into a message, a story that resonates with your customers. And so we use that framework and created into a message that resonates with his customers now. And this is how the complete phrase goes. I'm a clearing and forwarding agent who helps business owners clear their containers at the port in 2 days compared to 20 days. That allows my customers to take their goods to market 18 days ahead of their competitors and turn it into cash. That's the benefit, the end bit. And then he says, my name is Jaroge, I am a CEO of this company. Look at it. Because you talking about yourself and your name and your company, you're just glorifying yourself. You need to start with the problem that people are facing and the solution that you're providing. You become the solution provider. That's the framework that you need to use to introduce. If you want to stand out from the rest of your competitors, then Now if he goes to any networking event or any room, and maybe there are 2 or 3 clearing and forwarding agents, Joroge is going to win more business through his messaging, through his storytelling. Similarly, all content creators also need to have a framework to not only hook customers but to retain them, and you need to have micro locks, story locks in between your content, so that people are not just hooked and then swipe off or scroll over or scroll away, but time and again there are micro locks, story locks that unlock a new dopamine kick, and a new reason for them to continue with your video. So also we also need to disqualify some of the in this if I was to use a qualification, this content is is useful for business owners and content creators who want to turn their message and their story into multi-million-dollar businesses or profits. So, if you're a business owner or a content creator and would like this framework and you would like us to work with you, then there should be a number or a link for you to contact, or just search for Harish Dabasia. If you can't spell my name, then just say it out, or onto Gemini or whichever search engine or ChatGPT, any of the AI tools that you use. It's Harish Dabasia, business growth mentor, and or even if you just say Harish Dabasia mentor, you'll come through. You'll find our content and you can connect us. So DM, or get in contact through the website or email, and we can help you craft your $1 million story and message. Thank you for joining.